So you want to lose fat but your weekends are completely messing up that shit? Then this is going to be the video for you. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing fantastic, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how you can manage your weekends when you are dropping fat. Because let's be so for real here, weekends is one of the things that will hinder most people's progress, because Monday to Thursday we're all good, we've got our food prepped, we're getting our steps in, we're going to the gym, we're on track, we've got a plan, and it's usually easier to stick to these things whenever we're at work, whenever we've got a routine. Then Friday rolls around and it's just like, what's going on? We have social occasions, we've got events, we're seeing more people, maybe alcohol is getting involved, takeaways, we've got meals out, we don't really feel like going for a walk, and this is when our goals and our fat loss goals can be put on the back burner a little bit, because weekends can get so busy, we've got so much going on, we don't know how to manage them, and then they end up hindering our fat loss progress. And if anybody knows about weekends and how hard it is to manage weekends, it is gonna be me. Bestie, I used to weigh 240 pounds and I struggled with my weight literally my entire life. But after being on my own fat loss journey and losing over 55 pounds and maintaining it for a couple of years, I'm going to share with you 3 things that you can do to manage your weekends better so that you're not falling off track all the time, and how you can continue to make progress, still see results without feeling like you're constantly getting stuck in this cycle of Monday to Thursday is good, but then Friday to Sunday goes tits up. And before I get into this video, the one thing that I really want to emphasize is the fact that your weekends matter just as much as your weekdays too. Just because it's the weekend, just because it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, does not change the fact that we still have to show up. We still have to make a conscious effort with our habits. We still have to make a conscious effort with the things in which we're doing. Because just because it's Saturday or Sunday, it doesn't change the fact that what we need to do in order to lose fat still remains the same. So this mentality that weekends don't matter, or I deserve to kind of pull away from things on the weekend, weekends matter just as much as Monday through Thursday. We just have to be able to learn how to manage them a little bit better, and how we can plan ahead so we can still enjoy our weekend and still enjoy the social aspects of living and just living your life, but without it hindering your progress and your goals. And before I go ahead and get into my 3 tips, please be sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button so you don't miss another video. We know when it comes to dropping fat, we need to be in a calorie deficit. And typically when we're in a calorie deficit, we have a set amount of calories that we are trying to stick to every single day to ensure that we are consuming less calories than what we are burning. So usually if you're in a calorie deficit, you will be following along with a certain amount of calories that you are trying to hit each day. Now the reason that this is relevant is because this is going to take me into my first tip, which is going to be something called calorie banking. And if you don't know what calorie banking is, you're in the right place, because I'm just about to explain it to you. So for example, this is you. And let's just say that your calorie deficit calories that you're trying to stick to on a day-to-day basis is 2,000 per day. That means that you're trying to eat 2,000 calories every single day, which will create a calorie deficit for yourself. Now, instead of looking at our calories from a daily perspective, we want to start looking at them from a weekly perspective. So if you have 2,000 calories per day to use and you times that by 7, which is a week, that's going to take you to 14,000 calories, meaning that you have 14,000 calories to play around with in a week. So we're no longer looking at your calorie deficit from a daily point of view, we're looking at your calorie deficit from a weekly point of view. So you've got 14,000 calories to use in a week. Now what we essentially mean by calorie banking is, instead of sticking to 2,000 calories per day, we may reduce the amount of calories that we're having, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and then keep those extra couple of calories and add them onto our weekend, so we have a little bit more wiggle room. So here we have a perfect example of how you could distribute your calories throughout the week differently, but that the number still adds up to 14,000. So instead of having 2,000 calories every single day, we're changing up the numbers a little bit to slightly adjust for our weekend, so we can have a little bit more leeway to play around with on our weekends. So for example, this is just one way of doing this, and you can distribute your calories however you like, because we're looking at this from a weekly basis. But let's just say, for talk's sake, we take off 200 calories from the 2,000 every single day from Monday to Thursday. We've got 800 through Monday to Thursday. Then on Friday we come back up to 2,000, and then on Saturday and Sunday we've got 2,400 calories to play around with. So we may want to use this for an extra meal, we may want to use this for some extra drinks whenever we're out, or maybe you just like having some extra calories at the weekend so you can sit, watch a movie with your friends, your family, your partner, and have some extra snacks in there. But basically what I'm getting at is calorie banking can be used to hold off some of your weekly calories to put them over to the weekend, meaning that you have that little bit more room to play around with. This was a method method that I found so useful along my fat loss journey, because it meant that I could still go out, I could still enjoy social occasions, I could kind of leave some calories over if I knew that I had a busy weekend going on, or even just on weekends where I wanted a little bit more food freedom and enjoyment. I would calorie bank my calories and take them into the weekend with me so I could have a little bit more leeway and move around. So calorie banking is a great method to do to help you manage your weekends and stay on track without feeling overly restricted by a calorie deficit. Number 2, and listen to me when I say this, family, plan ahead where possible. You would not believe your weekends could go so much smoother if you would just take the time to plan them the same way that you do with your work week. How many of us sit down on a Sunday evening or a Monday morning before our week starts and we get our week planned ahead? We are planning out our work, we're planning out our schedule, we're planning out what our kids need to do, we're planning out when we're going to be meeting up with our friends, whatever it may be. We have a plan for our week moving forward. And especially if you're someone that has got a Monday to Friday job, I know that it can be a lot easier to plan around that because you have a routine and you have a structure. But your weekends, whenever you are in a fat loss phase, they deserve to be planned around. You deserve to plan ahead for those too. And in actual fact, you kind of need to plan ahead if you are someone that wants to continue enjoying your weekends on a regular basis. You're going to have to start planning ahead if you want to make this shit work. Now, is planning ahead for your weekends a little bit boring? And you're kind of like, Trez, I just want to live. I just want to let my hair down at the weekend. It's been a long week. I get it, sis. I get how you're feeling, sister. Trust me, I know. But we also have a fat loss goal in mind. We gotta stop being lazy and we gotta make sacrifices sometimes. Sometimes that sacrifice means that we have to plan ahead and be smart and strategic with our weekends if we ever want to get to our goals and not feeling like we're constantly in chase and in pursuit of this goal. Sometimes it's gonna come with sacrifices. A big one that usually pops up on the weekends for people is the socializing aspect with your friends, with your family, with your partner, whatever it may be. Now, whenever we are losing fat, we never want to take away from those experiences. We never want to take away from the aspect of socializing and seeing the people that you love, but there definitely is ways of navigating around this in a smarter way that you can still be in alignment with your goals and get the social aspect as well. So what I'm going to suggest for when you are eating out at restaurants, you maybe know that you've got a birthday dinner planned in or you're having a meal with your friends. I'm going to suggest looking up the menu before you get to that place and scoping out the best options that are going to suit you and your goals best. Now, this is not tricky to do at all anymore because we have AI. So literally all you need to do is type in the place that you're going to ChatGPT. And what you want to ask it is, what are the best options for me if I'm on a fat loss journey and I want to prioritize protein, I want to stay within a certain calorie range. This is where we can really make use of these things because it can help you to scope out and figure out what options is going to be the best for you. So I'm always going to say, if you are eating out and you have a fat loss goal in mind, you can always look up the place that you're going to ahead of time and be planned and prepared. Now, some people will argue with me on this point that this can come across a little bit obsessive, that, sometimes we might just want to go out and pick whatever we want to on the menu. Of course, absolutely we do. And I would always say that there's a time and a place for that. I know for me, whenever I am in a fat loss phase, I want my fat loss phase to be done and over with as soon as it possibly can. And sometimes that comes with making sacrifices. Yeah, of course, every time I went out, I would love to be able to pick the option that I wanted. I would love to be able to pick the option that I'm craving. But sometimes that doesn't serve my goals, and sometimes I have to make the sacrifice of planning ahead and maybe picking the option that I don't quite want to pick, but I know it's going to serve me best. And that way, I've still been able to show up to the social occasion, I've still been able to enjoy time with my friends, my family, or my partner, but I've also still been able to make smart choices for my goals. So that's what I mean by you have to pick and choose how much your progress means to you and how quick you want to get out of this fat loss phase. So there's things that you can do to help you get out of it a little bit quicker. This is going to be one of them. Another example when it comes to planning ahead for your weekends, I want you to actually think about your Friday, your Saturday and your Sunday and actually map them out a little bit. So think about them the same way you would Monday to Thursday. When are you going to get your steps in? When are you going to hit the gym? Are you going to get a food shop done? Are you going to do some meal prepping? So having a game plan and an action plan in place for how you're going to approach certain situations in your weekend is going to be a game changer. And like I said, I know, it's a little bit boring. But bestie, we're trying to get you in and out of this fat loss phase as quick as we possibly can. And sometimes that's going to mean some sacrifices on the weekend. But listen, it's not the end of the world. You got this. I believe in you. And moving on to tip number 3, my last tip for this video is going to be socializing smartly. Like Like I had previously mentioned, socializing is one of the biggest things that can kind of hinder our progress on our fat loss journey, because weekends get so busy, there's so much happening. And you might be thinking, but Trez, I want to see my friends, I want to go out drinking, I want to have, you know, some nice food. My mom is making a roast dinner on Sunday and I don't want to miss it. And if your mom is anything like my mom, she is going to want to feed you. You know what I mean? And we never want to have to take away the socializing aspect whenever we're on a fat loss journey. Like, we never want to be that person that's continuously missing out on social occasions and events because we're in a fat loss phase. That's why I'm saying there's ways and means to go around these situations. And that's why we want to be socializing smartly. And what I mean by that is starting to become aware of your environment. So let's just say, for talk's sake, every weekend you are out eating takeaways, you're out in restaurants, you're drinking, you're not really moving much, you're feeling sluggish because you're having food, you're drinking alcohol, maybe you're hungover, you don't really want to move, you don't really have the energy to want to go for your walk. This can all lead to slower rates of progress when it comes to our fat loss. Now, like I said, these are not things that have to be completely cut out, but we want to be looking at them in a smarter sense. And we also have to meet ourselves with the question, is getting ourselves involved in these habits every single weekend aiding my progress, or is it actually hindering it? What I would say to an individual that is super social, you like going out for meals, you like having a couple of drinks, and that's maybe something that you're doing every weekend. Maybe when you do get started on your fat loss journey, instead of going out every weekend, maybe you look at turning that into 2 weekends in the month you go out instead of 4. It's a small sacrifice to make, you're still getting the social aspect, but we've just now freed up 2 of your weekends to focus on your goals a little bit more. Another really important note to make alongside this is actually communicating with the people that are closest to you in your life. So those people that you're spending most of your time with, your friends, your family, your partner, you're going to have to now communicate to them that things may have to change and that you would appreciate their support. People don't actually realize how much their environment actually affects them and how easily we can be swayed by the individuals that are closest to us, because we all know what it's like. Like, our friends are like, oh, go on, just have one. Or, you know, your partner's like, oh, well, we just get a takeaway. It's so easy to give in and it's so easy to kind of fall away from your goals when you have that influence. So those that are in your life that are closest to you, communicate with them that you're on this journey and that, you know, when the weekends rise up, you would really appreciate if they could support you along this journey. And if they love you enough and they care about you enough, they will want to do that with you, or they should at least want to do that with you and support you. And if they don't, put them in the bin. I'm only joking, but seriously, ask them for their support, ask them for their help. So for example, you might switch the social side of meeting your friends for a night out and say, hey, could we grab a coffee on Saturday or Sunday morning and go for a nice walk instead? That way we're still going to be able to catch up. Instead of going out at the weekend, maybe we could do a games night in, we could cook a really nice dinner. And again, that way you're still getting the social aspect. You're just making better choices that are in alignment for you and for your goals. So please remember that we don't need to put our weekends on hold, that we don't need to put our social lives on hold in order to drop fat. But sometimes this journey does come with sacrifices, planning ahead, setting boundaries, and that's going to be part of it if you want to see results that you never have seen before. Remember, in order to get something that you never have got, you have to do something that you've never done, and sometimes it's going to come with sacrificing and doing the boring shit, but it's going to be worth it, bestie. I promise you that. So that is it from me on today's video. I hope you learned something new. I hope this is really going to help you going into your weekends in the future with your fat loss journey. And if you did get anything from this video, please be sure to leave a comment below and let me know. Love to hear from you guys. And as always, if you've got any other struggles along your fat loss journey, please be sure to let me know what you need help with down below, because it is my life mission to make fat loss as easy as I possibly can for you. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!